There is a moment when faith and fear collide, when obedience feels unreasonable, when silence feels cruel. Daniel stood in that moment, and everything changed. Daniel, a man with blood on the line and a throne that trembles in the dark. One prayer could end his life. One whisper to the wind could silence a legacy centuries in the making. You know what it costs to stand when the ground shifts, to speak when the air thickens with threat, to kneel when the world demands you crawl. What happens when devotion becomes a death sentence? Lights below, scattered, flickering, like breath caught in a throat. The city sprawls, stone and shadow, steel and smoke. Its towers clawing at a starless sky, ancient bricks buried beneath modern glass, foundations cracked, names forgotten. Yet the same hunger remains, a hand, trembling, unrolling parchment across a scarred table. The scroll cracks as it opens, dry, brittle, alive with secrets. Ink bleeds into fibers. Words already written in fear, now rewritten in malice. Voices, low, sliding along stone walls, not in the streets, not in daylight, but here, in the hush between torches, where breath fogs and footsteps vanish. Two figures, hoods drawn, fingers twitching like spiders on a web, their words never rise above a rasp. But the meaning, sharp, precise, a blade wrapped in silk. Above them, the king paces, sandals scraping marble, his robe drags like a shroud. He stops, stares at the balcony. The city, his city, lies beneath him, vast and unblinking. But his eyes are not on the skyline. They're on the silence, the weight of rule pressing into his ribs. A crown is not gold, it is gravity. And then, light, high in a tower, windows open, wind rushing through linen curtains, a man on his knees, not bowed in submission, but lifted, facing east, toward ruins, toward memory, toward a temple long turned to dust. Daniel, lips moving, sound rising, not loud but clear, a voice cutting through the city's hum. Outside, the dark plots. Inside, the light prays. One room, two worlds. The quill, dipped, dragging across parchment. Each stroke, a wound. The decree takes shape. For 30 days, no petition to any god or man but the king. The scratch of the nib, like bone on stone, like time running out. Red wax pooled, thick, oozing. The seal descends, iron meeting heat. A click, final. The law is born in shadow, not to honor, but to hunt. Eyes in the alley, three men, watching, not moving, not speaking. Their stillness is louder than shouts. Daniel's house, lit, exposed. They wait for the window to open, for the figure to kneel, for the moment they can strike. This law was never about loyalty, never about unity. It is a snare, a noose disguised as duty, a legal murder, and they have chosen their victim. Dawn. Pale light spills over the ziggurat, stone steps glowing like embers. The city stirs, gates creak open, merchants, guards, priests. None know the trap has been set. None feel the tension in the air, thin, sharp, like a wire pulled taut. Daniel walks, not fast, not slow, shoulders back, eyes forward. He sees the watchers. He knows their names. He knows their game. But he walks as if the weight of heaven rests easier than the weight of fear. The door, heavy oak, iron bands. It closes. A thud. Then silence. The city's noise fades. Dust settles in the air. Sunlight cuts across the floor in thin lines. He kneels, not for show, not for ritual, but because his bones remember, because his soul knows no other posture. Facing Jerusalem, where the altar once stood, where the fire fell, where God answered. A breath, then words, soft, steady, not a plea, a declaration. Father. The first syllable hangs in the air, defiant, tender, true. Then silence. A beat. Two. A growl, deep, raw, from somewhere unseen, not from the streets, not from the alleys, from below, from within, from the pit where lions wait. Stone, unyielding, carved not by hands, but by centuries. A slab of mountain flesh, split from the earth's spine. Chisels bite, sparks rise like trapped stars. Each strike echoes, deep, hollow, final. Dust hangs in the air, golden in the slant of sun, then swallowed by shadow. This is no monument, no tribute. It is a contract written in rock. The law, not ink on papyrus, but bone in the land. Once cut, it cannot be uncut. Once named, it cannot be unnamed. The Medes, the Persians, two rivers forced into one channel. Dara, Pars, names etched into armor, into gateposts, into the breath of soldiers. One empire, one decree, one voice to speak, and all must listen. No appeal, no reversal. The scepter is iron, not wielded, it is. And the king? He stands before it, not as master, but as witness. He walks, not in gardens, not in halls, but in the chamber where the law lives, cold marble underfoot. His shadow stretches long, then short, then long again. Sun climbs, then falls, then climbs once more. 30 days, one rotation of the moon, a lifetime in a sentence. His fingers trace the edge of the tablet, smooth, final. He knows the weight of a word spoken in power. It does not float. It falls like stone into water, like a body into a pit. He signed it, with breath, with blood, with the weight of a crown that answers to no one, except the law he himself upheld. They came, the officials, cloaked in loyalty, their eyes sharp with hunger. They spoke of honor, of unity, of the king's divine right to stand above all gods. Let all petition flow to you, they said. Let your voice be the only one heard in the land. Flattery, sweet as figs, poisoned at the root. They did not speak of Daniel. Not then, but the trap was already set. The law was the snare. The king, the unwitting hand that sprung it. His pride, the bait. Now he paces, not as ruler, as prisoner. The sun moves fast, too fast. A chariot across the sky. Light crawls up the wall, reaches the lintel, then retreats. Hours pass like sand through clenched fingers. He studies scrolls, scrolls of precedent, of ancient rulings, of loopholes buried in dust. His lips move, not in prayer, in calculation, in desperation. Can a law be undone? Can a king revoke what the empire has sealed? The answer rises like bile. No. The system he built to prove his strength now proves his chains. Dusk. The sky bleeds from gold to ash, the final hour, the last breath before the gavel falls. Torchlight flickers in the courtyard. Then, footsteps, measured, precise. The officials return, faces long, voices heavy with false sorrow. "We have seen," they say. "Daniel, your servant, prays still to his God, not to you." The words land like stones. The king turns, his face pale, not with anger, with dread. He knows, he knew, but now it is real. Now it is irrevocable. The ink has dried, the wax has cooled, the law demands blood. He says nothing. His mouth opens, closes. A man who has lost his voice in his own palace. The decree was never about Daniel. It was about the throne, about testing whether the king could bend the law or if the law would break him. And now the test is over. The result, the law wins. They march, not in haste, in ritual. Dust rises with each step, dry, choking. The path to the den is short, too short. Daniel walks ahead, calm, unshaken. The king follows, slow, as if dragging chains. The air is thick, not with heat, with silence. A silence that hums, that presses against the eardrums, the only sound, the scrape of stone on stone. At the mouth of the den, the king stops. The guards move, the wheel groans, the boulder rolls, slow, inexorable. It seals the opening, not with a crash, with a sigh, as if the earth itself has taken a breath and held it. One moment. The king leans close, his voice barely a whisper. Not for the guards, not for the officials, for the man in the dark. "May your God deliver you." The words hang, fragile, trembling, then swallowed by the night. The law is satisfied, the king is hollow, and the stone remains. Darkness, absolute, not the soft dark of night, but the thick, suffocating black of a tomb sealed for centuries. No glimmer, no outline, only the echo of breath, his own, bouncing off unseen walls. Inhale, a rasp, exhale, a tremor. The air tastes of damp stone and old blood. Somewhere in the void, a breath answers. Not human, deeper, rhythmic. The pulse of something vast, coiled in the unseen. Pause, soft pads on cold rock. A slow circle. One, then another. The scrape of claw on stone, barely audible, yet sharp in the silence. They move like shadows with weight, deliberate, patient. A low rumble stirs the air, not a growl, but a vibration beneath the skin. The den is not empty. It never was. Daniel sits, back straight, hands open on his knees, eyes closed, lips part. A whisper, not a plea, a song, ancient, familiar. The words rise like smoke, psalms from a boyhood in Jerusalem, from nights beneath olive trees, from a mother's voice in candlelight. Each syllable a thread spun into the dark. He does not flinch, does not tremble. The verses fall like stones into water, rippling through the stillness. The lions pause. One turns, ears twitch, then light, faint, not from above, from within. A glow, pale as moonlight on snow, spills across the floor. It catches the edge of a mane, golden, thick, dusted with grit. The lion stands, massive, muscular, jaws capable of crushing bone. Its breath steams in the cold. The light touches its eyes, not red, not wild, calm, reflective. The glow lingers, not on the beast, but around it. A shimmer in the air, like heat above sand, yet cold to the touch. Dust motes swirl, not in draft, but in pattern. A presence, not seen, felt. A breath where no breath should be. The lion lowers its head, lies, rests its chin on its paws. A giant house cat beside a fire. The king, in his chamber. Silk sheets tangled. His chest heaves, not from exertion, from silence. He stares at the ceiling. The carvings, gods, warriors, beasts, twist in the torchlight. He blinks. The images shift. Daniel's face, the stone rolling, the whisper, "May your God." He turns. Again. The pillow damp. His fingers clutch the edge of the bed. No food touched, no wine poured. The night stretches, each hour a weight on his chest. He hears nothing, yet hears everything. The scrape of the boulder, the growl below, the silence after. Dawn, a sliver, pale gold. It creeps over the eastern ridge, spills across the rooftops, gilds the ziggurat's peak. The stars fade, one by one. The sky bleeds from indigo to amber. The city stirs, distant shouts, the clang of a gate. But the king is already moving. Robe half on, sandals untied, he runs, not with dignity, with desperation. Dust kicks up behind him. His breath comes in gasps. The path to the den, once short, feels endless. He reaches the mouth, stops. The boulder, still, sealed. He leans close, voice raw, cracked. "Daniel, servant of the living God." The words tear from his throat. Echo, die. Silence answers. Thick, cold. The wind stills. Even the birds hush. A breath. Two. The king's hands press against the stone. His forehead drops. Eyes close. Then, voice, clear, calm, rising from the deep. "O King, live forever." The king jerks back, stares, laughter bubbles, hysterical, disbelieving. Tears streak his face. "Is it you? Are you?" God sent his messenger, the lions held. "I am unharmed, for I was found blameless before him and before you." "Hoist it, now!" the king roars. Guards rush, ropes, pulleys, wood groans, stone grinds on stone. The boulder shifts, slow, reluctant. A crack of light widens, then open. Morning floods the pit, golden, blinding. Daniel emerges, not climbing, lifted, as if borne on unseen hands, his robe clean, his face serene. Not a scratch, not a tear. Light wraps him like a mantle. The lions, still, watching. One yawns, lies back, The angel's shimmer fades, gone. The king falls to his knees, pulls Daniel into his arms, sobs, great heaving breaths. His crown tilts, falls. He does not reach for it. His face presses into Daniel's shoulder. He is alive. He is alive. The words repeat, a prayer, a confession. The sun climbs, bathes them both. The stone lies behind, empty. The law remains. But something greater has spoken and answered, sunlight slanting through high boughs, needles part like fingers holding back the sky, a lattice of gold on bark, on stone, on breath rising in the cold. This light, ancient, not born of dawn, but memory. The stone, rolled, not shattered, not lifted by hands, but moved as if the earth itself exhaled, just as another stone, centuries hence, would yield at morning's edge. Not to force, to silence, to a breath that stirs dust in a sealed tomb. One slab seals a prophet, the other holds a king. Both stones stand for finality. For the world's verdict, this is the end. Yet both are undone, not by revolt, not by war, by a presence that walks through walls and whispers to lions. Daniel, bound by no crime, only faith, a man of prayer condemned by whispers, by envy dressed as law. So too the Nazarene, hands folded, eyes down, before Pilate's throne. No defense, no outcry, only stillness. The innocent standing where the guilty should fall. The plot was never about the accused. It was about power, about whether truth could be buried beneath decree and dust. Seal the den, whackers pressed, imperial mark. A sign. No one enters, no one leaves. So the tomb, corded, guarded, marked with Rome's authority, as if empire could bind what heaven had loosed, as if ink and thread could hold back the rising of the dawn. Darkness, not absence of light, but presence of weight. The pit, air thick with the scent of old fear, of bones ground to powder, a place where sound dies, where even breath feels stolen, like the grave, like Sheol's hollow throat, where the dead wait, where hope goes to be forgotten. Yet in that blackness, song, not a cry, a hymn. As centuries later, in the belly of the earth, the firstborn would descend, not as captive, but as conqueror, the king, awake, unfed, unadorned, pacing, not in rage, in dread, his bed untouched, his wine sour, the night long, each hour a stone in his chest, like disciples in an olive grove, eyes heavy, hearts failing, watching, failing to watch. One man wrestles with a decree, the others wrestle with sleep. Both nights end in betrayal. Both mornings begin with footsteps toward a tomb. Then, light, not sudden, but creeping, insistent. A blade of gold cutting through shadow, revealing not bones, not blood, but a man standing, whole, unbroken, as if death had tried to swallow him and choked. So, at dawn's edge, a garden, a woman weeping. Then a voice, Mary. The tomb, empty. The body, gone. Not stolen, raised. Life where death had claimed dominion. The accusers, they come, smug, certain, expecting silence, expecting gore. They demand justice and receive it, not upon the righteous, but upon themselves. Cast down into the pit they engineered, the teeth they summoned, now at their throats, just as the cross they built for another would become the scaffold of their own undoing. The trap sprung on the trapper, lions, fierce, hungry, sacred to empire, symbols of power, yet here, still, subdued, not by chain, not by whip, by presence, by peace. And the irony, thick as blood in the air, the Lion of Judah, the root of David, the one who wears the crown of thorns, sends his shadow into the den, not to destroy, to guard. The King of Beasts walks beside the man of prayer, and the beasts become sentinels, the weapon, the pit, designed for death, for silence, for erasure. Now, holy ground, a throne room where God stands between man and fang, where the enemy's tool becomes the stage for divine speech. So the cross, tree of shame, becomes the altar of redemption. The gallows, transformed, the place of curse, now blooms with life. Third day, not coincidence, pattern. Daniel, through night and into dawn, rescued, vindicated, but not raised. Yet the shape is there, the shadow long, the tomb sealed one evening, open the next morn. The third day, the day God acts, the day the dead walk, the day the earth trembles beneath risen feet. A decree follows, not of man, but from trembling lips. The King, on knees, proclaims his God alive, his kingdom enduring. So the disciples, on hillsides, in upper rooms, sent forth, "Go, make nations. I am with you." One voice silenced by law, another unleashed by resurrection. One kingdom built on fear, the other on breath. The shift, not reform, not revolt, a transfer of rule. The throne of men cracks. The kingdom of heaven advances, not with chariots, with a man walking out of darkness, with a tomb left behind. The empire remains, but its power exposed, hollow. The true king risen, the false gods silent. Deliverance, not escape, not delay, not mere survival, but vindication, restoration, life that death cannot touch. Daniel walks, unharmed, but still mortal, still bound to time. Yet the echo, this is a foretaste, the resurrection, complete, final, the body glorified, the grave defeated, not rescued from the pit, but raised from death itself. The cross, not in the scene, but in the shadow, in the stone, in the silence, in the bloodless man emerging from the mouth of hell. The shape is there, the wood, the nails, the cry, all unseen, but felt. In the weight of the king's grief, in the stillness of the beasts, in the light that rises, not from the sun, but from within. Victory, not through sword, not through empire, through the Lamb, the one led to slaughter. who opens his mouth only to forgive, who stands in the fire, in the pit, in the grave, and walks out alive. The beasts of the earth roar, the powers scheme, the thrones crumble, and the Lamb reigns, light through pines, morning after night, life after death. The stone rolled away. Again, water, still, a mirror of sky and flame. The horizon drinks the sun, spills gold across the surface. Not a ripple, not a breath to stir it. Then, stone, skipping, slow, each arc suspended, each impact gentle, the rings spread, wide, trembling outward, not breaking the calm, deepening it. You know this stillness, not of peace, but of waiting, the kind that settles in your chest when the world has spoken its verdict, when the walls of your own making press close, the den you did not choose, anxiety, a low hum beneath the ribs, depression, a weight in the limbs like walking through wet sand, fear, a voice that whispers you are alone, trapped, the law of circumstance, the sentence passed without trial. You cannot outrun it, you cannot outthink it. The door is sealed, the decree stands. And yet, kneel, not because you are weak, but because you are seen. The posture of surrender is not defeat. It is the first motion of trust. The storm rages, but here, in this breath, there is a center, a quiet, not the absence of noise, but the presence of something deeper, a breath drawn in unison with another, not your own. The air cools, then warms, as if held. The dark is not empty. It is filled with a nearness you cannot name, but feel. In the hush between heartbeats, in the space where prayer has no words, silence is not abandonment. It is the room where faith learns to stand. You do not need to speak. You do not need to prove. You only need to be here, now, with Him, who holds the jaws of chaos shut, who knows the number of hairs, who counts the tears. Rest in that, not in outcome, not in resolution, in character, in the certainty of who He is. The stone meant to crush you, feel it, your hand against its side, rough, cold, but now, shelter, not a tomb, a refuge, a place where you are known and held. Your breath slows, the tightness in your shoulders eases, the pulse in your throat softens, the body remembers what the mind forgets. You are not alone. The light returns, not sudden, but sure. A blush of amber, then rose, then gold, spilling over the water, not conquering the dark, but rising through it, as if it had been there all along, beneath the surface, waiting. Morning always comes, not because the night deserves it, but because light has a nature. It cannot stay buried. You rise, not by force, not by will, but by grace. The den behind you, the fear still there, but no longer master. You walk into the warmth, into the open, into the day, unshaken, Not because the storm won't return, but because you know the one who walks with you through it. Trust him in the dark. Trust him in the stillness. Trust him when the stone is heavy and the night long and the breath is thin. Trust and rest. The water holds the sky. The light holds you. The dawn holds all things. Fade to white.